Ahoy and welcome back to another video. It is now the end of February, so it's time to talk about all the games I played this month. Do this at the end of every month so I can make myself a nice reminder catalog of all the games I played to help myself make a better Game of the Year video at the end of the year. So February, I actually played 4 new February releases this month to some extent. I didn't finish any of them yet, but I played 4 new releases. And of these, I think I'll finish 3 of them. And I think I'll start with the one, I'll start this video with the one I'm not going to finish, I've decided. And that is God of War, Sons of Sparta. There was a state of play at the beginning of this month, and there was a long-rumored 2D Metroidvania God of War game. And I like God of War. I like Metroidvanias. I was very excited. They showed the game at the end of the state of play, and it shadow dropped. And the initial view of the game, I was already interesting art style to go for. It's like a pixel art, they're going for something different, something like a weird, they're calling it like God of War meets retro. And it wasn't the art style I was expecting. You know, God of War started on the PS2, it started with 3D visuals, it never had a pixel, retro look ever. So I thought it was interesting that they decided to go that way with the game. I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. It's God of War, it's Metroidvania, I'll probably like it. And I think I tried to make myself like it for a while. I streamed the game for about 3 hours on the first day it launched, and it has a slow start. I didn't love the way the game looked right off the bat. I was like, maybe it'll grow on me. But what I think bothered me more than that was I didn't really like the premise. You're playing as boy Kratos, which I don't necessarily hate the idea. I think adult Kratos is much more interesting, obviously, because that's his whole character. But I was like, okay, maybe looking at the past of Kratos, maybe we'll get some sort of something there, something that makes me care about this. But then, thinking back on Kratos' story, the big moment, the big thing that makes him Kratos, you see that in God of War 1. So then I was like, well, what are they really going to show me in this prequel game? And the answer is, in the first 4 hours I played, nothing really that I cared about. I don't really feel compelled to see this through from a story perspective. I don't like Kratos and Deimos, his brother. I don't like their interactions. I don't like them talking. They are children, and they're talking like children or teenagers, whatever you want to call it. I didn't really like the dialogue, and even when the characters are talking, because of the art style they went with, they have 2 pixel characters staring at each other, and their models of this. There's no mouth moving, which is fine. It's a pixel character, but they didn't even do the littlest thing of bringing up a larger sprite of the character's face with the dialogue next to him. Most games in pixel graphics, whether it be an RPG or even platformers, when characters talk, they bring up a big sprite of the character's face, and they I don't know, it makes you feel a little bit more like there's a conversation happening. What you see in this game is just 2 characters standing there, not really moving, no facial movement, and they're just talking, but it just doesn't feel right. It feels odd. And this whole game feels odd. The combat, you have a staff, you have a little pokey stick, lance, whatever you want to call it, spear, that's the word. I didn't feel like the combat was very good. It has a roll. It has, roll and poke and then parry, but I thought the parry was slow and delayed. Didn't like that. I thought the movement was stiff, the jumping. When you have to grab onto ladders and stuff in this game, it's so odd. You don't just jump and press up. You have to jump and press triangle. So it's a different button to grab something in the air to interact with. To drop down, you jump with the X button. But to drop down through a floor, you don't press down X, which is the intuitive thing. You press down triangle. So the button layout feels weird. The combat felt stiff. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the look of the game. So it's what did I really like here? There was, I think the Metroidvania side of it, the exploring the map, was adequate, was fine. But I would rather have a fine explorer side of the Metroidvania and great combat. When you don't have great combat or great story, and then the exploring is just fine, it doesn't really give me a whole lot to pull me through, to push me forward. The puzzle solving was like pretty basic level Metroidvania stuff. I was getting new items and I was interacting with things in the world, but it wasn't like, oh, this is really going to pull me through this. It just nothing. No hooks got put in me. None of the attempts to get me interested in the game really stuck with me. The music I thought was like fine. There was a boss fight relatively early on that was actually a decent boss fight, to give it credit, even though it had some attacks I didn't quite understand how to dodge. But it had like a pretty cool chiptune song like in the background. I was like, okay, this is like a decent little track in this game. And I thought some of the music out in the overworld was fine. It was acceptable. I don't know. It's just like nothing really wowed me. If anything, most things upset me. The best thing I can say about this game is like I like the idea of them making a Metroidvania God of War game. It just didn't. Nothing hit. And this game actually, the best thing this game did for me is I was sitting here thinking about this. I was like, I really don't want to play this game, but I feel like I feel compelled. I always feel compelled to finish the games I have. I feel compelled to like not start things and put them down. I've always had this problem. But I didn't want to play God of War Sons of Sparta so bad that I actively decided to make a list. I have a spreadsheet of all the games I finished. I added a column for games I'm not going to finish for this year. And I added Sons of Sparta to it. And it had such a profound impact on me. I actually went back and last month, a game I was playing, Big Hops. Fun game. I enjoyed it. I played like 5 hours of it. Good time. But I don't really feel compelled to go back to it. And I didn't like God of War Sons of Sparta so much, it compelled me to like change my outlook on finishing games. And I added Big Hops to the list of games I'm not going to finish this year as of right now. So Big Hops caught a stray because I didn't like God of War so much. And it doesn't really make sense. But I think God of War Sons of Sparta kind of fixed part of my brain of like, hey, you don't have to finish all these games. You can just put the ones down that like you're done with or you're not liking. So like in the example of Big Hops, I played it for 5 hours. I thought I had a lot of fun. I think I'm done with it. Sons of Sparta, I played for like 5 hours. I didn't like it. I don't want to go back to it. So thank you, God of War Sons of Sparta, for changing my outlook on video games. Next up, this one I won't talk about much because I haven't played much of it. I did get suckered into buying Mario Tennis Fever. I pretty much buy all of the Mario sports games. I keep falling for their tricks because I do like Mario sports games historically. And Mario Tennis Aces was fun. And Mario Tennis Fever has been fun. I played it for like an hour. I have not started the like story mode yet. I've heard like it's not great. I've mainly just been playing through. I forget what it's called. It's like a challenge mode. You just go through like a series of challenges. I'm playing through that. I've heard that is the best single player content in the game. Playing through that, you unlock a big checklist of like 300 challenges. So I think I'm just gonna chip my way through that as I feel the need to play some Mario Tennis. And it's a solid playing game. It feels good. I'm not gonna like worry about the story mode per se. I'm gonna go through the challenges as I see fit, and then I'll play multiplayer. And for example, this weekend I have people coming over to stay. We'll probably play some Mario Tennis. So I'm glad I have it. I wish Nintendo would make the sports games more enticing from a single player perspective. If they're gonna charge $70 for them, I've heard obviously the story mode I've heard is like not that great. It's more of a tutorial. It's like 4 hours. So that's not really worth it for a single person perspective. And then there's this challenge mode, which I heard is actually pretty decent and gives you a lot of content. So it's like, is the amount of content they give you in the challenge mode really worth them charging $70? Like really, it's like you have the base mode playing Mario Tennis and then they just added a list of challenges. I really wish if they're going to charge 70 for the sports game, they would go a little further than just adding a list of challenges, because that doesn't quite feel like it's worth the money to me. I know everyone has different, subjective of like what a game has to be worth hours or content wise. I'm normally pretty easy. Like if a game's fun to me and I get good enjoyment out of it, I'll pay what they charge for it, because if you go to a movie these days, you bring somebody, it's like $50 for a 2-hour movie. So sometimes when I play a video game, I'm like, well, if I get like a good 5 to 10 hours, I don't mind paying the full price for a good video game. But I think with Mario Tennis, it feels like, all right, you made a good game, but then you just kind of phoned in like the single player content. It's like, do I really feel good about rewarding you for that? Not really. But I'm going to try to find some enjoyment in Mario Tennis. So then the last 2 games, these are my 2 favorite games of the month. 2 games I do not feel bad about buying whatsoever. The first one is an indie game I saw a long time ago on Twitter, and I kind of forgot about it, and it resurfaced this month. It is called Tearscape or Tearscape. I'm not sure. It's the word Tear scape. I never know if they mean tear or tear. But this originally, if I'm remembering correctly, this game originally surfaced as a Bloodborne demake. And basically, they turned Bloodborne into like a pixel top-down 2D Zelda-looking game. And I remember seeing that, God, I don't know how long ago it was. And I was like, oh, that's a fun idea. Like, I wonder if that'll ever like be a thing. And then, like this month, I didn't realize it was coming out. And then someone sent me a message on Twitter like, hey, this looks fun. And I was like, oh yeah, that's that Bloodborne demake game. And it has now come in the form of Tearscape. So this is basically a Souls-like top-down Zelda. The character, to be clear, is called a hunter, and it looks identical to the hunter from Bloodborne in a pixel thing. So this is clearly heavily Bloodborne influenced. You have a dodge roll, you have a shield to parry, and you have attacks, and you get different weapons. So just like a Souls-like, there's enemies. You kill them, you get currency, use that currency to buy level ups. So at checkpoints, you can spend your currency to buy HP, stamina, attack, and I forget what the 4th one's called. I think it's like how well... What is it? Is it how well you use special attacks? How well you... I forget what the 4th one's called. How well you use items? It's something like that. But that's not super important. You have stats, you level them up like a Souls-like game. You have a stamina bar, so you have to like manage like how much you're rolling, how much you're attacking, because your stamina will run out, and when you run out, you're kind of just like a sitting duck. It's a lot of fun. It's like meshing 2 worlds to me that I really like. I love Souls-like games. I love top-down Zeldas, and it just put those together in a really fun way. I've made it through the first dungeon. The first dungeon, it ends with like a legit boss that gives you like a ton of level ups, and it's like I had to try 2 or 3 times, learn the patterns. It's a really fun game. Visually, it's like it does look like a Game Boy Color game. It sounds kind of like a Game Boy Color game, but it feels like you move around a little more smoothly than a Game Boy Color game, in my opinion. I'm playing it on the Steam Deck, so just, I'm actually using the thumbsticks. I'm not using the D-pad, if that tells you like kind of how it feels to move around. There's a map. The map has been pretty... Like, each square, you have squares like a Zelda map, like an old Zelda game. Each square is pretty like linear, but there's like normally a couple ways to go to like work your way around the map to end it to a point. You get items, you do little side quests, you talk to characters. Solid games, $15 on Steam. I'm going to finish this one. I want to play more of it. I'll talk about why I haven't played as much of it a little bit later in the video, because there's something else I've been playing a lot instead of this. But I am enjoying every moment I play with Tearscape, and I think it's a solid game. I think if you like Souls-likes and if you have any affinity for like 2D Zeldas, I think you'll like this. But it's not my favorite game I played this month. My favorite game I played this month is something I've only played for a couple hours, but I've been looking forward to it all month, and that is Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil Requiem. At the time of this recording, it is the day the game came out. So I wanted to wait to record this until I played some time with Resident Evil 9, just so I could kind of talk about it here. I've been kind of on a Resident Evil kick this month. I played Resident Evil 2 Remake and 3 Remake this month. In the past, I played Village, loved it. I played 7 with friends, liked it. And then I played Resident Evil 4 Remake, and I liked it a lot. So I've now played 7, Village, 2, 3, 4 Remake, and then RE9 came out today. So I'm not like I don't have like a huge history with Resident Evil. I'm a pretty new fan to the series, but I do really enjoy them. I've been getting really into them, and 2 and 3 Remake really got me in the mood for this game. So no spoilers here. I'm not really going to talk about what's going on in the game, but I have played through, I guess I call it like the intro sequence, where you get like the first big like hook of the story, and I've played a couple segments, I'll just say. Like I said, I'm about 2 hours into the game. But it's been great so far. The beginning of the game, it does get its hooks in you really quick, from like a story intrigue perspective. You're like, oh, well, like immediately you're like really invested, like what's going on, the place you're in, and it's pretty scary so far. I don't really play these games for the horror per se. I'm not like a huge horror guy, but so far it has done a good job of being very tense. You're like less equipped at the beginning of the game. You don't have a whole lot of resources yet, so you're having to deal with things a little bit differently, and that's been fun. Because playing RE2 and 3 remake, 3 especially, but 2 to a lesser extent, I feel like I always had weapons, I always had ammo. Even when I was being somewhat cautious with the ammo, I feel like I always had ammo. I was never really in threat of running out. And 3, I feel like you have an abundance of ammo at all times. It gives you a grenade launcher like very early. So having to be a little bit more stealthy and not have weapons to fall back on at the beginning of this game has been very fun. It looks very pretty. The PlayStation DualSense has been nice. Like, it's raining in one scene early game, a cutscene. It's like little droplets on the controller. I feel like they use that trick a lot, but that always works for me with the DualSense. So yeah, I know it's not a super long game. Resident Evil games aren't ever super long. So I want to try to finish it this weekend if I can find time. I might try to like really bust through it this weekend and see if I can get at least most of the way through it. Because with Resident Evil, I've never done the thing where, like, most people who swear by Resident Evil, they play each game multiple times. They keep running through it, get different endings. They get different unlocks because when you beat the game, you unlock stuff and you play it through a different way. I've never like experienced Resident Evil in that way. And I think this would be a fun time to do that. Now that I'm like in the zeitgeist, it's a brand new game. I'm playing it at launch. I would like to try to like play it through a couple times and see if that works for me. See if I enjoy replaying these games faster and better after knowing what happens. So yeah, RE9's great so far. I will talk about it more, I'm sure, in the March video when because I'll have finished it by then. But so far, the first couple hours, fantastic. And that does wrap up all the February new games I've played. So I guess it's time to talk about the not so new things. Now this one I was considering a new game. It's not new though. The Virtual Boy did come out this month. The NSO Virtual Boy, I did get it. Obviously these aren't new games. I already have a Virtual Boy right there in the frame. But it did re-release this month through NSO. So I thought it'd be worth just talk about it right after the February games. Give a shout out to the Virtual Boy. Yeah, if you have had any interest ever in a Virtual Boy and the games on there, I think playing it through NSO is a perfectly acceptable way to play it. I was playing back and forth with my actual Virtual Boy and the NSO Virtual Boy, and there's no you don't lose anything from using the NSO shell. This is just a shell with a lens, and it putting you in here makes it dark, so it kind of blocks off, puts you in blinders. So it feels like you're just as much in the game as you would be in a regular Virtual Boy, and it looks good. The depth effects still work. Most of the games, though, there's 7 games right now. Most of them aren't great. I made a video reviewing and ranking all the games, and I think the first 6 of the 7 games to more and lesser extents are just kind of tech demos. It's a little reductive to call them tech demos. Some of them are more involved than others, but I think the 6 of the games you could probably finish in like an hour and a half. And the 7th game is Virtual Boy Wario Land, which is also a short game, but it feels more like a game that happens to be on the Virtual Boy and uses the tech of the Virtual Boy rather than like something. It's like, how do we make something for the Virtual Boy? It feels like it came from the other way around. Like they had a game, they put it on the Virtual Boy rather than having a Virtual Boy and needing to make something from it. Most of the games on there feel like that to lesser extents. But like Galactic Pinball, solid. It's a pinball game. It's pretty quick and easy to get into. One game I wanted to really like more was Red Alarm. You actually control a ship in a 3D space, and you are controlling it up, down, left, right, in a 3D space. In the Virtual Boy, it's kind of crazy. It looks really cool, but it also is like wireframe and kind of hard to parse. It's like you can't really tell what's a wall and what's just because there's no solidity to stuff. So like you have a pillar, and it's just a bunch of wire frames or wire lines, and it looks like you should be able to fly through it, but you can't because that's actually a solid object. You have to fly around it. So most of the time you can see that coming. It's not a big deal, but sometimes you get a little lost in the sauce, and it's just like a bunch of wires in the way, and you don't know what's real and what's a wall, and there's enemies shooting at you. It can get a little confusing. So that's the game I was probably the most disappointed in, that I wanted to like. And then there's games like Tellero Boxer, which just plays like a punch out, and I'm bad at that game, so I haven't like really got into that yet. What is the Mansion of Innsmouth is like a first-person dungeon crawler that was like interesting. It was basically a first-person shooter dungeon crawler on the Virtual Boy, so it's like intriguing that existed back then. Let's see what else is there. There is, gosh, I'm already forgetting some of them. All right, I actually had to pull up my video because I completely forgot what the last two games were. 3D Tetris, which is Tetris in 3D. It's like instead of filling out lines, you're filling out squares, like planes in a 3D field, and solving little puzzles based off that. That game's solid. The worst thing about that game is like how slow it is. And then the last one, the most boring one, is golf. It's golf. I did not think it was very interesting, outside of like a cool swinging animation from the golf man. So yeah, Virtual Boy, as silly as it is to spend $100 on this thing, I don't feel bad about it because I do have an appreciation for it and an appreciation for the games. I'm trying to collect all the games physically with a real Virtual Boy right here, and some of those games are very expensive, and one of them in particular, Jack Bros, is coming to this. So I would like to actually play through Jack Bros sometime without having to spend $2,000 on it, because that's going to take me a long time to save up for that and justify spending $2,000 on a Virtual Boy game. Yeah, and there's also a couple of like previously unreleased games that are coming to it later in the year that I'll be interested to try out, like Dragon Hopper and Zero Racers. So yeah, Virtual Boy, interesting little thing they have there, and I'm happy to have it on the shelf. It looks very handsome. It's very nice. Already mentioned I played RE2 and RE3 remakes. Both of those were great. Like most people, I think RE2 remake is the better game, pretty clearly. When I was playing RE3 at first, I was like, why are people like so down on this game? Why do people not really like it that much? And then I looked up the reasons after I beat it, and a lot of people's complaints were Nemesis in this game. It's a big, scary guy who chases you. He doesn't feel super intimidating. He has like weird AI. I did notice that. Like, he was really easy to get away from. Whereas like in Resident Evil 2, Mr. X, he was like more of a thorn in my side because I had to actually like find a way to like draw him away from things and deal with his presence. Where Nemesis, I just kind of like threw a grenade at him once and then ran away and it was fine. And then all the bosses were kind of odd. I feel like the bosses in Resident Evil 3 were like not as fun. They were like very silly, how it was like these big giant monsters and I'm just kind of like slowly running away from them and they turn around like shooting them. Slowly running away. It just felt odd. So Resident Evil 2 was a fantastic experience. I loved exploring RPD, going back and finding things. The loop was very nice of like, it has that carrot on stick down so well where you go somewhere, you find something and you're like, oh, now I can get that door back over there, but it's kind of scary to go back to that door over there. And like it builds tension really well where it's like, it knows that you want to go somewhere and get something, and it's going to let you do that, but it's going to make you know something's going to happen if you try to go do it. So it was a lot of fun. And then RE3 was like just kind of a lesser version of RE2, but I still did enjoy it. I think it's still a good game. I would never say that I think I would say RE3 is like a 7.5 to an 8, because it's a very short game also. And then RE2 is like a 9, a solid like 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. I loved RE2. Next up, one thing I've been playing a lot. I played a lot of in February. That's the reason I didn't get to as much of like Tearscape as I would like to get to. I was playing Path of Radiance this month, and I played a lot of Path of Radiance this month. I love Path of Radiance on the GameCube, and it's on NSO. And I spent a lot of time like playing it and like making sure I had like the perfect run. I was playing it for the first time on hard mode because when I played as a kid, I just played it on normal. And then this is the first time playing it after experiencing all the other Fire Emblem games I've played. So I felt more confident to go into hard mode and play through like that. and I was like making sure I did everything perfect. I was using all the characters like optimally, making sure I maxed out as many stats as possible, raising up as many characters to the highest level as possible. And I was having a blast just like min-maxing the game and really going back through that game. I don't remember how good the story was in that game. I was actually like surprised to see that it holds up really well. Like I cared about Ike's journey and Ike's like character growth. It was really like surprising that it held up that well. I thought it was going to be some like just dorky. A lot of the Fire Emblem stories like aren't great. Some of them are better than others, but a lot of them are just kind of like, okay, we need a plot device to go to the next chapter. I thought Path of Radiance did a really good job. And I put like 40 hours into it. It's not that long of a game. I thought it would be like 30 hours, but I think it's because I was playing so slowly and like perfecting everything and making sure I got the best level ups. Not the best level ups. Make sure I got the highest amount of level ups, like sharing the experience optimally. Because I didn't want to like just because you can just use Titania the whole game and just like kind of melt through most people. But I was like, I want to use my lower level units and make sure that everyone's leveling up to a high level. And by the end of the game, my whole army was like level 14, 15 promoted. And then Ike had like max capped out stats. So I was having so much fun with that game. It's a fantastic game. It made me want to play Radiant Dawn again. I have not played Radiant Dawn in a long time. And Radiant Dawn, prior to Three Houses, was my favorite Fire Emblem game. So yeah, Path of Radiance, if you haven't played it already, you need to check it out. It's on NSO. And these last two things, just kind of touching up on Kingdoms of the Dump. I'm still playing Kingdoms of the Dump on the Steam Deck. I think I'll finish that relatively soon. This is that like old style JRPG where you play as like a trash can. I talked about it on my Indies video earlier in the month. So I'm really enjoying that fantastic game. I'd like to put out a full video on it when I finish it, and then I'll have to decide what handheld RPG I want to go to next. I'm between like Dragon Quest 1 and 2, HD2D, Octopath Zero, or Final Fantasy Tactics on the Switch 2. So after I finish Kingdoms of the Dump, I'll jump into one of those RPGs. And then last but not least, I've been playing on my Pocket also here and there when I have time. I downloaded a Pokemon fan hack ROM, what do you want to call it, called Pokemon Crystal Legacy. I've been playing on the Pocket. It is basically a quality of life and like rebalancing patch for Pokemon Crystal. It basically takes some things that Pokemon Crystal, some like just like hindsight, 30 years of 30 years of like experiencing Pokemon Crystal and like just kind of change things a little bit to make it a better experience. Changing where some Pokemon spawn, giving you some new Johto Pokemon earlier in the game rather than like holding them for the late game. Giving you running shoes from the start, and you can like run in buildings just to make the game feel less tedious. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm playing it because on Craig's channel, on Generations Behind, we're doing a Pokemon Gen 2 retrospective video in honor of Pokemon Day, which is today. So that's our next episode, is Gen 2 Pokemon. So I just want to refamiliarize myself with Pokemon Crystal a little bit. But yeah, that is all the games I played this month. Next month, I think the main thing I'm looking forward to next month is Pokemon Pocopia. Animal Crossing, Minecraft, Pokemon. I love all those things, and Pokemon Pocopia is putting them together, and I'm worried I'm going to spend a lot of time in it. But I'm very excited. But so if you look forward to hearing that, tune in next month, as well as hearing more of my thoughts on RE9. But made it this far, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.